So we've looked at how we can identify and summarize the data set in the median. And the median, by the way, is the first kind of average that we're looking at. The mode is also considered an average, although is much less used. But the median is certainly used quite a bit and probably should be used more. But we can use the same idea of the median and expand it a little bit more, provided we are dealing with a variable that has many possible values. For instance, let's have a look at this situation. Now we have a value with 14 possible values. 13, you say, look carefully, starts at 0. Okay, we have 14 possible values. Now, what we can do in this situation is get the same idea as the median. Remember, with the median, what we're trying to do was divide the data set into two parts, or pick a value so that half of the data set would be at least that value, and half of the data set would be at most that value. Little technical complications there, but we saw how to handle them. And we're going to see some more, of course, once we go to class. We can, instead of dividing into two equal parts, we can try and divide that into 4 equal parts. And so what we're going to do is we're going to end up computing the quartiles. Quartile is a strange new word, probably, and people usually just abbreviate it to Q1. Or to Q something. Okay, so we're going to have a Q1, Q2, and Q3. So what's Q1? Q1 is a value such that at least a quarter of the data are below it, at or below it. Remember, there's a little bit of a technical complication, and 3/4 are above it. Okay, now if at this point it's useful if we go to the cumulative frequency table, and in fact it's even more useful if we create 2 cumulative tables, one in that direction, one in the opposite direction. Because, for instance, I claim that well, let's see, where should I claim? I don't claim anything right now. We want to find this Q1. So we want to find a value such that at least a quarter of the data, notice in this case we have 100 observations, so a quarter is easy to figure out, it's 25. So we want 25 values to be at that value or below, and 75% to be at that value or above. So as we scan through the data, we keep going and keep going and keep going until we get here. Notice the value 5 is such that 32 observations are at 5 or lower, that's more than 25, and 80 observations are at 5 or above, that's more than 75. So that would be the first quartile, or Q1. The second quartile, or Q2, well, the idea is half below, half above. Well, that's just the median. And notice that the median in this case is 7, because it's the only one that has at least 50 in both columns. So you have 71 in the first column. That's a lot, yeah, but if we go one below, we get only 49, and that's not enough. And 51 in the second column. So we get at least 50 in each of those two columns, so we have at least 50 below, at least 50 above. Q3, now we want 3/4 below and a quarter above. And if you look at the table, that's the value 8, which is 83% below, that's more than 75%, and 29% above, and that's more than 25%. Okay. So the quartiles, again, are the whole idea here is that we want to try and divide our data set into 4 equal pieces. Now we can keep playing this game, and we can try and divide the whole data set into percentiles. And the whole point of percentiles is to try and divide the data set into 100 equal parts. As you can imagine, if you're trying to divide into 100 equal parts, you better deal with a variable that has lots of values and with a data set that has lots of observations. Otherwise, those percentiles really will not make a lot of sense. Now, I assume that you have been using percentiles before and you're fairly familiar with them. Quartiles basically are very much related to that. The first quartile is the same thing as the 25th percentile, 125% below. The second quartile is the median, or 50th percentile, one half above and half below. And the third quartile is the 75th percentile, one 3/4 below and 1/4 above. If all this sounds confusing, maybe watch the video again and just come to class where we'll do some more examples and exercises and try some on your own.